Malaysia officially recognized as BRICS partner country. And at least 5 killed in attack at Turkish aviation site. And Salam Malaysia Badani. This is World Today. I'm Brendan Lepore. Malaysia has been recognized as one of 13 nations officially added to BRICS as a partner country, a bloc that collectively accounts for 1/5 of global trade. According to an update from BRICS Info on X, the bloc officially added 13 new nations to the alliance as partner countries, though not yet as full members. Apart from Malaysia, the other 12 nations include Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Thailand, and Vietnam. Russia currently chairs the bloc, which also includes Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. For the record, on 28 July, Prime Minister Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim confirmed that Malaysia had submitted an application to Russia to join the BRICS Intergovernmental Organization. BRICS was established in 2009 as a cooperation platform for emerging economies. It accounts for a cumulative gross domestic product of $26.6 trillion. World leaders have called for peace in West Asia and Ukraine at the BRICS summit in Russia as President Vladimir Putin told them he welcomed offers to mediate in the Ukraine conflict. The meeting of around 20 world leaders in the central city of Kazan is the largest diplomatic forum held in Russia since Putin ordered troops into Ukraine in 2022. In a joint statement, the group said it was deeply concerned about ongoing conflicts and instability in West Asia and North African region. It also criticized Israeli attacks on UN staff in southern Lebanon and urged that Lebanon's territorial integrity be preserved. At a plenary session, leaders lined up to call for peace in both West Asia and Ukraine. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian urged BRICS members to use all their collective and individual capacities to end the war in Gaza and Lebanon. Chinese President Xi Jinping repeated his call for a ceasefire, saying everyone needs to stop the killing and work tirelessly for a comprehensive, just and lasting settlement of the Palestinian issue. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva also called for escalation in both West Asia and Ukraine to be avoided. The BRICS group also called for the Global South to be given a bigger role on the world stage and more deeply integrated into international decision-making platforms. Israel has unleashed a wave of airstrikes on southern Beirut as the Israel-Hezbollah war reached its 1-month mark. With 6 buildings leveled in at least 17 Israeli raids, the strikes mark one of the most brutal nights in the capital's southern suburbs since the war erupted on 23rd September. The official national news agency reported at least 17 Israeli strikes on Beirut's southern suburbs, calling the raids the most violent in the area since the beginning of the war. It added 6 buildings were destroyed around the suburb of Lailaki, including a residential complex hit by 4 Israeli strikes, causing a large fire. There was a massive explosion followed by smaller blasts in the embattled area after the Israeli army issued an evacuation warning for the area. There was no warning, however, for a strike that hit the Jannah neighborhood in southern Beirut, killing 1 person and wounded 5 others. In southern Lebanon, Israeli strikes pounded Sur, leaving swathes of its center in ruins and sparking a new exodus from the once vibrant coastal city. Bilal Kashmar of Sur's disaster management unit said 7 buildings were leveled and more than 400 apartments damaged. Israel has ramped up its strikes on Lebanon and sent in ground forces in a war that has killed at least 1,580 people since 23rd September. Now, fighting in Lebanon could further destabilize the country's economy, already devastated by years of crisis. The United Nations predicts a 9.2% drop in gross domestic product this year if the conflict continues. After a year of border skirmishes, Israel and Hezbollah are now engaging in open conflict. In an initial evaluation of the economic impact on Lebanon, the UN Development Programme said that the scale of the military engagement, the geopolitical contacts, the humanitarian impact and the economic fallout this year are expected to be much greater than in 2006. If the fighting persists until the end of the year, it said GDP is projected to decline by 9.2%, as companies are unable to do business due to Israeli airstrikes and capital destruction from factories to roads.
UNDP estimates that rising unemployment will affect approximately 1.2 million workers across the country. The unemployment rate may increase to a staggering 32.6% by the end of this year.
The UN Development Programme further said even if the conflict ends this year, the consequences of the escalation of hostilities in Lebanon are expected to persist for years. The UN agency also said that with living conditions severely diminished, it is imperative for the international community to mobilize immediate humanitarian relief support along with development assistance for longer-term recovery. G7 nations are committed to making $50 billion in lending available to Ukraine by year-end. The group of 7 wealthy democracies had agreed to offer the new loan to Ukraine using profits from the interest on Russian assets frozen after President Vladimir Putin ordered the invasion of his neighbor in 2022. According to U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, the loan initiative will provide Ukraine with urgently needed funds and will make funds available by the end of this year.
Є зараз важлива новина зі Сполучених Штатів Америки. Америка ухвалила рішення надати $20 мільярдів. Це кошти, які забезпечені замороженими російськими активами. Частина рішення G7 про $50 мільярдів для України, для нашого захисту, для нашої стійкості. Це те, що дійсно підтримає нас. І важливо реалізувати це вже в цьому році.
The remaining $30 billion in loans is set to come from a combination of G7 partners, including the European Union, United Kingdom, Canada, and Japan. London and Berlin hailed the milestone in military cooperation as they signed a new defense pact that would see German submarine hunting planes operate from British bases and counter threats from Russia after its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Europe's 2 biggest spenders on defense said the pact includes a commitment to develop new weapons that have a greater range and accuracy than current long-range missile systems. Both nations said the Trinity House agreement signed by Defence Ministers John Healey and Boris Pistorius would strengthen NATO's European pillar at a time of increased threat from the east. An eye-catching part of the deal is the prospect of German Boeing P-8 aircraft patrolling the skies of the North Atlantic from a base in northern Scotland. Another will see German arms giant Rheinmetall open a UK factory making artillery gun barrels using British steel. The agreement is the first between the UK and Germany and aims to put previously ad hoc cooperation between the two countries on a more regular footing. At least 5 people were killed and 22 others wounded in what Ankara called a terrorist attack by 2 people at the Turkish aerospace industry's headquarters. Witnesses said they heard gunfire and an explosion. Shortly after 3:30 p.m. local time, a huge explosion rocked the headquarters of state-run Turkish aerospace industries some 40 kilometers north of Ankara. It sent clouds of smoke into the air as the sound of gunfire rang out. Witnesses said that employees inside the building had taken to shelters by the authorities and no one had been permitted to leave for a few hours. They said the blasts they heard may have taken place at different exits as employees were leaving work for the day. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya said both attackers were killed after the attacks, adding 2 of the injured were in critical condition. Yerlikaya noted that the perpetrators were highly likely members of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, which has waged a decades-long insurgency against the Turkish state. He added efforts to identify the attackers were ongoing. One of Turkey's top defense firms and a major arms producer, Turkish Aerospace Industries employs 15,500 people and has a vast production site covering an area of 5 million square meters. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who was in Russia for talks with Vladimir Putin, called it a heinous attack on Turkey's defense industry, targeting the survival of the country. The attack drew condemnation from across Turkey and beyond, with Putin offering Erdogan his condolences at the start of their meeting. Statements of condemnation and condolences to the families of the victims were also issued by Brussels, Berlin, as well as the US and French embassies in Turkey. NATO chief Mark Rutte also phoned Erdogan to offer support, saying the alliance stands with Turkey. The attack came as Turkey's political establishment appeared to be leaning towards a political, negotiated solution to the decades-long conflict with the Kurdish rebel group. The last attack in Turkey was in January, when gunmen opened fire inside a Catholic church in Istanbul, leaving one dead in an assault claimed by the Daesh group.
Malaysia has also strongly condemned the attack on the headquarters of Turkish aerospace industries. The foreign ministry confirmed that no Malaysians were reported to have been affected by the incident.
The ministry said Malaysia expresses its deepest condolences and sympathies to the government of the Republic of Turkey and the families of those who have lost their lives, apart from wishing those injured a speedy recovery. It also said that the Embassy of Malaysia in Ankara is closely monitoring the development. All Malaysians in Turkey are advised to remain calm, stay vigilant, and follow the latest updates and guidance provided by the local authorities. For further consular assistance, they may contact the Embassy of Malaysia in Ankara or reach the Consulate General of Malaysia in Istanbul.
And still ahead, Belarus to hold presidential vote on 26 January. But first, at least 3 people died while attempting to cross the channel from northern France to Britain. French authorities said that around 50 more people had been rescued from a sinking boat.
The Channel Prefecture said the small boat sank shortly after 8 a.m. local time, around 2 kilometers from the port of Calais. Several nearby ships were called to help. Channel crossings to Britain by undocumented asylum seekers have surged since 2018 despite repeated warnings about the perilous journey. The channel has heavy maritime traffic, icy waters and strong currents. Yesterday's sinking follows the death of a 4-month-old baby last week in an overloaded boat headed for Britain, with the latest fatalities bringing the total so far this year to at least 54 people.
Belarus will hold the presidential election on 26 January, 4.5 years after widespread allegations of vote rigging in the last ballot led to nationwide mass protests.
Belarus, a key ally of Russia, has been ruled since 1994 by strongman President Alexander Lukashenko. The Election Commission said in a statement on social media that Parliament had approved the date of the vote, which the opposition said would be a sham. Critics accused Lukashenko of violating human rights and jailing dissenters during his 3-decade rule, which has grown increasingly authoritarian. Lukashenko confirmed that he planned to stand in the vote, a contest in which he will face no real opposition. The 2020 vote was marred by allegations of fraud, triggering weeks of protests on the streets of the capital Minsk and across the country. Thousands were arrested or fled abroad in the face of a crackdown by security services and riot police.
Bolivian transport workers blocked the streets of La Paz, protesting against President Luis Arce over ongoing fuel shortages that have led to lengthy lines at gas stations across the city.
Drivers parked their vehicles across key streets, forcing residents to walk several kilometers along highways to reach their destination. The City Main's public transport union called for a 24-hour shutdown of vehicular traffic in response to fuel crisis. The shortages, which affect both gasoline and diesel, have caused residents to wait up to 48 hours to refuel. The Bolivian government has blamed the fuel scarcity on road blockades in central regions by supporters of former President Evo Morales, who are demanding an end to an investigation into Morales for alleged abuse of a minor during his presidency. Since 14 October, Morales' support have taken control of key highways linking Cochabamba with La Paz, Oruro, Sucre, Potosi and Santa Cruz. These actions have severely disrupted supply chains for fuel and other essential goods.
Boeing workers in the Seattle region decisively rejected the company's latest contract offer, extending the nearly 6-week strike.
Almost 2/3 of the members of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers District 751 rejected the contract. The latest Boeing offer had included a 35% wage hike but did not reinstate a pension plan sought by many employees. Some 33,000 hourly workers with the association have been on the picket line since 13 September when workers overwhelmingly rejected a Boeing proposal for a new 4-year contract to replace the expiring pact. The extension of the strike adds to the troubles facing Boeing and its new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, who early on Wednesday expressed measured optimism that the latest contract would be ratified.
Ecuadorian police said that 2 alleged criminal leaders involved in the storming of a TV station earlier this year have been captured after an operation in Spain where they had been staying on false papers.
Ecuadorian Police Deputy Commander General Fausto Buenano said Commander Willie, the alleged leader of Los Tijerones, and his brother Alex, who is believed by authorities to be the second in command in the criminal group, were arrested in a joint operation with the Spanish Guardia Civil. Police said the 2 men were accused of planting car bombs, carrying out contract killings, extortion, and an infamous live-on-air attack on the TC television studio in Guayaquil, Ecuador's largest city, in January this year. The police added the brothers were also accused of the murder of an Ecuadorian prosecutor who was investigating their crimes.
Tropical storm Tramy made landfall in the northeastern portion of the Philippines' main Luzon island, forcing schools and government offices to shut for a second straight day as disaster agency braced themselves for more rains and floods.
Thousands of residents have fled from their homes in central Bicol region as floodwaters reach as high as the roofs of bungalow houses. Officials said the storm has already killed at least 14 people as it barreled towards the Philippines, including 12 in central Naga City. State weather agencies said Tramy, locally known as Christine, with maximum sustained winds of 95 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 160 kilometers per hour, is moving westwards across Isabela province towards the South China Sea.
Coming up in sports, Rafinha hat-trick powers Barca to impressive win. Stay with us. Starting off our sports segment this afternoon, the Young Tigers' mission to secure a podium finish was shattered after a 2-1 defeat to Great Britain in their 4th match of the Sultan of Johor Cup SOJC International Hockey Tournament at the Johor Hockey Stadium in Taman Daya. The Malaysian junior men's team suffered their 4th consecutive loss in the tournament, leaving them to end their championship campaign in either the 5th or 6th place.
Great Britain opened the scoring in the 15th minute through a penalty stroke successfully converted by Caden Tracy. In the second quarter, Young Tigers fought back, equalizing with a field goal by Chenor Akirullah in the 17th minute. Vigneswaran's squad came close to adding another goal through a penalty corner in the 27th minute, but Mohammad Nabil's effort went wide. The third quarter saw both teams exchanging attacks, but neither could find the back of the net. However, John Blabby's Great Britain side broke the deadlock in the 4th quarter when Monty Neve scored a field goal in the 53rd minute, sealing a 2-1 victory.
And on to football, a Rafinha hat-trick handed Barcelona 4-1 win against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. In a clash that pitted 5-time winners Barca against 6-time champions Bayern, it was the home side that stole the show, thanks to a triple from Brazilian attacker Rafinha and a goal from former Bayern forward Robert Lewandowski.
Harry Kane leveled after Barca's first minute opener for his fifth goal of the campaign, but was helpless as his team collapsed to their second defeat in 3 Champions League outings. Ex-Bayern player Lewandowski then restored Barca's lead in the 36th minute by pouncing on a loose ball after Fermin Lopez had snuck behind the visiting defense. Rafinha got his second goal on the stroke of half-time with a curling effort off his right side. The Brazil international's third in the 56th minute showcased Barca's danger on the counter as he galloped onto a swept pass from Lamine Yamal before arrowing home a left-footed finish with both centre-halves trailing in his wake. The result leaves Bayern in the bottom half of the table, while Barcelona have 2 wins and are 10th.
Liverpool defender Kostas Tsimikas said last season's heartbreak was driving the Reds' excellent start this campaign after yesterday's 1-0 win at RB Leipzig. Last year, Liverpool won the League Cup and were top of the Premier League table in Jurgen Klopp's swan song and on track for 4 trophies, when a run of poor form saw them crash out of contention.
Darwin Núñez scored the only goal in the game, his first in the competition since February. This year, Liverpool have won 11 of 12 in all competitions under new manager Arne Slot, the best start ever for a Reds manager. Liverpool are top of the Premier League table and are one of only 2 teams, alongside Aston Villa, to have claimed 3 wins from 3 in the Champions League this season. They travel to fellow title rivals Arsenal on Sunday and could go 7 points clear of the Gunners with a win. Tsimikas said it was too early to talk about trophies, but added they set their goals at the start of the season and they want to go for everything. Meanwhile, Erling Haaland lit up Manchester City's 5-0 win over Sparta Prague to move into 3rd place in the Champions League table. The Norwegian scored twice, including a backheel at shoulder height, as City ran riot against the Czech champions. Phil Foden, John Stones and Matheus Nunes were also on target for Pep Guardiola's men, who remained unbeaten in all competitions this season. Sparta had taken 4 points from their opening 2 Champions League games against Salzburg and Stuttgart, but City were a step up in class, too far for the visitors. City are now unbeaten from open play in 26 Champions League matches, setting the longest unbeaten streak by any club. Victory takes Guardiola's men onto 7 points from their opening 3 Champions League games, behind only Premier League rivals Liverpool and Aston Villa. In AFC Champions League Elite East region, Shanghai Shenhua moved up to 4th in the standings as Leonid Slutsky's Chargers claimed a 2-0 home win over 10-man Kawasaki Frontale. Brazilian winger Marcinho was sent off in the 5th minute for a dangerous tackle on Ibrahim Amadou. The Japanese side struggled in the match to break through Shenhua's defense, Wang Haijian putting Shenhua in front with a deflected strike in the 24th minute. However, it took until the 3rd minute of stoppage time for the Chinese Super League leaders to put the seal on the victory when Andre Luiz picked himself up off the turf after a foul by Yuichi Maruyama to score his side second from the penalty spot.
And now in tennis, Novak Djokovic said he is withdrawing from the Paris Masters, where he is a 7-time champion, in a move which could potentially signal the end of his roller coaster season.
Djokovic, who is the defending champion in Paris, has won a record 40 Masters titles in his career, along with his 24 Grand Slam titles. His 2024 season has yielded 1 title, his emotional Olympic gold medal in Paris in August, and he is currently marooned on 99 career trophies. This season, he has been deposed as Grand Slam's king by Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. Italy's Sinner claimed the Australian and US Open titles and also snatched Djokovic's world number 1 ranking. Alcaraz swept him off court in the Wimbledon final after succeeding him as French Open champion, although Djokovic gained a measure of revenge with victory over the 21-year-old Spaniard in the Olympic final. For the first time since 2017, Djokovic will end the season without a Grand Slam title. He is still in contention to qualify for the season-ending ATP Finals in Turin next month. He is currently 6th in the race for the 8-man field for the showpiece, but could be overtaken by a number of players.
In motorsport, Mexican driver Sergio Checo Perez admitted that he has had a complicated year with the Red Bull team due to his failure to achieve the expected results with improvements to his car.
Sí, ha sido un año complicado, ¿no? Es difícil, obviamente, con un auto en el que no tienes confianza, en el que sabes que llega el fin de semana y cada vez son problemas diferentes. Y claro que las cosas se ponen difíciles, pero como dices, ¿no? Nunca es la opción rendirte, nunca hay que ir por el camino fácil y aquí seguimos y aquí seguiremos dándolo todo.
Perez currently sits 8th in the Drivers' Championship with 150 points, far behind teammate and reigning champion Max Verstappen, who leads the standings with 354 points. In the season's first 5 races, Perez was on the podium 4 times, finishing second in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia and Japan, and third in China. Perez has won 6 Grand Prix in his Formula One career since his debut in 2011. Regarding the Constructors' Championship, where Red Bull is in second place with 504 points, 40 less than McLaren records, Perez assured that it is not yet defined, but they need more pace in the remaining 5 races of the season.
Saingan 6 negara, Malaysia, Australia, Great Britain, India, Jepun dan New Zealand kini menggegar arena hoki antarabangsa dengan pukulan-pukulan kencang dan bertenaga oleh barisan pemain-pemain remaja bawah 21 tahun. Kejohanan Hoki Antarabangsa Piala Sultan Johor 2024 edisi ke-12 dibawakan sepanjang 19 hingga 26 Oktober hanya di RTM, penyiar rasmi.
76 minit tanpa henti.
76 minutes non-stop.
Transparent and concise. Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam.
Malaysia tonight, 8:30 p.m.
And that wraps up all today. In our top story, Malaysia officially recognized as BRICS partner country. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight coming up 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Brendan Paul. Thank you for watching. Take care.